internet pundit, great friend of mine, and someone who's innovated in angel investing. And if you don't mind me just taking, so Jason Calacanis is a true pioneer in many ways. And one of the things he set out to do at the beginning of the year was create something called OAF, or Open Angel Forum. And the idea was, hey, I want to, revolutionize angel investing, which has been progressing, but I want to make it jump forward. And angel investing has saved tech entrepreneurship single-handedly. And 2010 is hands down the year of the angel, and it's due to the efforts of people like Jason, who really push forward, and other partners like tonight, Keiretsu Forum, who's offering the winner a prize, which I'll talk about later. These guys are really pioneering angel investing in the US, and that has literally saved entrepreneurship. So, all right, I want a warm round of applause for Jason Calacanis.
I didn't know I saved the world, actually. That's nice. Thank you, Adeo. Congratulations to Adeo and to the graduates of the Founders Institute. I had no idea that this would actually work when Adeo first explained to me the concept. In fact, I said that'll never work. Why would people come to a class on entrepreneurship? They just go out and build it. And then I spoke at it and I said, wow, I wish this had existed when I was in college, because I actually would have started as an entrepreneur 3 years earlier. And I guess some of the folks who are in college or maybe outside of the Silicon Valley bubble, this has been a pretty big advantage to you guys. And for that, I think Adeo deserves, and his co-founders, a warm round of applause. Well done, Adeo. Adeo and I, as you said, are very old friends. We met back in 1994 and 95. Adeo has consistently been a couple of years ahead of the market, which has resulted in his failure. But this time he seems to have gotten it right. He actually created a casual games company just, 2 years before Zynga? Good timing. But he's a great entrepreneur, and the program's great. He asked me to talk a little bit about starting companies and angel investing tonight. And so I've had an up and down career as a entrepreneur, and I thought I would share with you some of the ups and the downs. Maybe there's something you could learn from it, and then we could do a little bit of Q&A. Can I use this chair here? Is that possible? Thanks. Wow. I'm just going to relax and do this like it's very nice. So I started my career in 1994 as an entrepreneur, a writer actually, doing something called Silicon Alley Reporter. And that business grew very quickly. It was sort of like the TechCrunch of its day, or it was during the time of Red Herring. Was anybody here from the .com Web 1.0 days? So we do have some folks, and then some of you started Web 2.0 days. And I had no idea what I was doing when I started that company. There was no Founders Institute or any sort of books on entrepreneurship or how to do this. You basically had to fend for yourself. And raised some money for that company and grew it to $12 million in revenue, and then the dot-com burst happened, and it went down to 12 employees and about $500,000 in revenue before I sold it. I went to Dow Jones, who had bought it, and subsequently it was just kind of interesting. My boss at Dow Jones brought me in and said, hey, can we have lunch? And I said, sure. He said, let's go for a walk. And we went for a walk after lunch. He said, we really think that you're tremendously talented and everything, but you really need to pursue this blog thing that you've been talking about. And I said, oh, wow, that's great. Are you firing me? And he said, well, we're going to pay you 2 years severance, so it's not really like you're being fired because you're still going to be paid. And I got fired and started something called Weblogs Inc., which some of you probably know the brands of Weblogs Inc., Engadget, Autoblog, Joystick. We wound up raising $300,000 in angel investing from an angel, Mark Cuban, who I had met when I was a journalist. And that business grew very quickly. And we sold it 18 months after we started it. And it was a good exit. Look it up. It was very quick. But what I wanted to talk about a little bit is timing. And I wrote a little bit about this today in my newsletter for those folks who get it. Timing is something that you're not going to be able to do perfectly. Nobody knows exactly when something's going to bubble up. and it's going to be a hot market, or when it's going to come down and be, the bubble's going to burst and you can't raise money. So what you need to do is focus strictly on your product, because it is the one thing you have control over. And what I've learned over the years, and I used to get very worried about the stock market when it went down in the first dot-com crash. I used to sit there with this anxiety. And what I didn't realize back then was it has really nothing to do with startup life, except maybe on the edges. What startup life is about is really focusing on your product and constantly improving it. The word they use for that is iteration, right? That basically means knowing when you suck and knowing how to suck less. And the way you do that, in some ways, is when you go to raise money from angels. And there's a big angel boom going on right now. Dale mentioned the Open Angel Forum. This was something I started at the beginning of the year, actually in reaction to Keiretsu Forum. Anybody here from Keiretsu Forum? Okay. I remember you, yes. We fought online. So anyway, very awkward. Anyway, I had seen that these, earlier this year I had seen, gosh, this Keiretsu Forum is charging the TechCrunch 50 companies, which was a conference I started with Mike Arrington 3 years ago. Did very well for 3 years before Mike told me he didn't want to do it with me anymore. These things happen. And he's doing now TechCrunch Disrupt, and I'm doing something called Launch, which will be next year in February. Anyway, I had gotten some contact from one of the TechCrunch 50 companies that said, should I give my money to Keiretsu Forum to present to angel investors? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, it's $6,000 to present to these angels. And I said, that's interesting, because I know a lot of angels, like Ron Conway and Mark Andreessen and Chris Sacca. They don't charge. What are you paying for? And I said, I don't know. And I said, I'll start looking into it. And they said, well, this is bullshit. In the same way I said, that it's bullshit that, well, I have to, offended, right? Anyway, I'm just going to tell it to you on real. So anyway, I'm sure there's some people from demo here too who would be offended. But anyway, Mike and I, back in the early days of TechCrunch, had dinner and we looked at the demo conference, and I said, that's bullshit, like that they charge $18,500 for a company to get on stage for 6 minutes. We should do a conference where we don't charge people. And he said, well, how would it make money? And I said, yes, we charge for the tickets. We're sponsors. And we did it. It was very successful. You guys know the companies that launched at TechCrunch 50, Mint, PowerSet, Yammer, and they didn't pay anything. And somehow that conference managed to make millions of dollars for us and was incredibly successful. In fact, before Mike imploded it, not there, to say 2010 was not as good a year as 2009, 2008, and 2007 income tax returns. But I digress. Thanks, Mike. Anyway, we basically made the premise of the conference, kill demo. Don't charge the entrepreneurs. Bullshit. And he was very successful. And some entrepreneurs still didn't get it, and they still went and paid them. Other ones left. But you should never pay to present at any conference. That's nonsense. And you certainly should never pay to meet with an angel investor. That also is nonsense. It's not how it works. It's a scam. I'm not saying Keiretsu Forum and the prize tonight is a scam. I'm saying paying to present is a scam. If they charge to present, then it is a scam. But anyway, and I told the Keiretsu Forum, in my own bizarre world, I thought this was appropriate. I said, guys, you have to stop charging immediately, and I would like you to write an apology on your website to the entrepreneurs you have charged. To which they said, who the fuck are you? Why should we listen to you? Blah, 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 blah. And so I kept increasing and ratcheting up the pressure on them to stop doing this. And they started calling my venture capitalists and threatening to sue me until eventually I told them, final offer, you do it or I'm going to launch the Open Angel Forum. And they didn't reduce their fees. I mean, they may have. The person from the Keiretsu Forum will explain later if they still charge or not. But I think if it's a $6,000 value, that means they're charging. And started Open Angel Forum, which is essentially real angel investors